Madame and Monsieur, allow me to tell you the story of our journey to Normandy, northern France, while I draw one of its famous attractions, Mont-Saint-Michel. I will also tell you about an unexpected art discovery that we came across on our last day of our trip. And of course, how I almost got thrown out of a French bakery. I hang my head in shame. So stay tuned. I am Marcus Fellbaum. I travel, I experience, and I create. This is my art. So we're heading to northern France, Normandy to be specific. Unlike the Dordogne and southern France in general, the interior of Normandy is less touristy. Just how do the cows of Normandy cope with the demands of having to produce the world's supply of buttery cookies and camembert cheese? Cheese. I also look forward to some seriously heavy meals. Chicken and cream sauce with mushrooms, beef bourguignon, all accompanied with delightful stinky extra creamy cheese. My mouth is watering over the visions of culinary opulence. Cholesterol? Blood pressure? Gaining a few pounds? Ha! I will throw caution into the wind and laugh at the scale in the morning. We'll hike. We'll work off those extra calories. No problem. Arriving on the high-speed train that travels between London and Paris, the Eurostar, we make our way on foot to the connecting station, Saint-Lazare, about a half-an-hour walk. With the onslaught of calories coming my way, I better get a head start of working those off. We have over an hour before we need to catch our next train, and it is time for lunch. Next to the station and across the street from each other are a classic Parisian bistro and opposite an Asian fusion place. Unfortunately, my wife has a lifelong aversion to butter. Seeing that we are going to be in the French countryside and probably a million miles away from fusion anything, or any other place that doesn't serve butter as an appetizer and dessert, we decide to give her a last reprieve. A final meal without having to worry about the butter content in each bite. Asian fusion it is. I will have my creamy feasts over the next 5 days. After a 2-hour train ride with SNCF, France's National Rail Company, we hop into our rented car and drive to Domfront in Lower Normandy, which also gives us the option of exploring the neighboring Pays de Loire region. Our rented cottage, or gîte, about a 10-minute drive from Domfront, is in the middle of nowhere. The sound of crickets and birds. That's it. A crackling fire at night? Perfect. After dropping our bags, we drive back to Domfront to find one of the cherished restaurants that I had been dreaming about. The online search reveals about a dozen possibilities. My much yearned after creamy, heavy meal is close at hand. This is when I realize that we are not in Paris here. It is the off-season and the middle of Normandy, not being a touristy hub to begin with. None of the restaurants listed in our online search are open. None. There's a pizza place, but we didn't come to Normandy for Italian fare. Let's just say I am somewhat disappointed. So we head to the local supermarché to stock up on groceries. Home cooking it is. The supermarket closes at 7:30 by the way, so better hurry. As I stomp through the canned goods aisle, my thought drifts back to the bistro across the street from the Asian fusion place. On the upside, the wine is cheap, really cheap. So far, I've been hard-pressed to find a decent bottle for under $5. Here, though, every other label is $5 or less. Yes, the French love their food. An affordable drink is part of that. Let's be French tonight and sample some of this decently priced nectar. We return to our gîte, light a fire, and settle in for the night. The next morning, my wife sleeps in. I head to town and find a boulangerie to get some freshly baked bread for breakfast. Walking into the store, I noticed the absence of the intense bready smell I expect walking into a bakery. This could be because, at times, my chronic sinusitis limits my ability to smell, which can sometimes be a blessing. And I also have not done my morning sinus rinse yet, which typically alleviates the problem. So no, in this bakery, when I want to smell that freshly baked bread, nothing. I enter the store and the doorbell announces my presence. I am the only customer. Madame comes to greet me from the back of the store. Bonjour. Bonjour. Je veux 2 baguettes, s'il vous plaît. I stammer in my hesitant French. Somehow, Madame understands that I want to buy 2 breads. She is very friendly, probably realizing right away that I am not a native and that I am really trying hard here. Oui, she replies, grabbing the bread. At this point, my doubts about the freshness of the bread is just taking over. I'm thinking, damn it all, I can't smell the bread. When in France, you have to have fresh bread, otherwise there is no point in having bread. So I used the word I learned only a few days ago. Aujourd'hui, or today, pointing at the bread, wanting to know if it is fresh. It just takes a second for Madame to realize what I asked her. Her mouth drops wide open and she gasps and probably considers throwing me out of her shop. Luckily, she does no such thing. Her surprise turns to chuckling and she replies, Oui, bien sûr c'est à partir d'aujourd'hui. Of course it's from today. Oh man, what have I just done? I asked if the bread was fresh in France. This will be the talk of the town today. I'll be lucky if they let me back into the country next time. I can just see it now, the border control officer, tightly pulled back hair, tied into a bun, a French bun, French uniform perfectly pressed the day before. She examines my passport, then stares at her computer screen with discontent. And after a few moments, squinty-eyed no doubt, looking at me inquisitively, Monsieur Fellbaum, we have a report here that on the 20th of March at 7:52 a.m. you insinuated we sell old bread in France? Is that correct? The next day, we head east, visiting a farmer's market in the medieval town of La Ferté-Macé. Well, it's hard to find a town in Normandy that doesn't have its origins in medieval times or before. Here we realize that we are in cow country. Some Normans joke that there are more cows in Normandy than people. And a good thing, because cows make milk, which then becomes glorious cheese. In the States, in our supermarket, I would expect to pay somewhere between $7 and $10 for a conservatively sized wedge of unripe brie, a luxury boutique item. Here, however, we come from the farmer's market with a selection of 3 local cheeses weighing down our bags for a tiny fraction of the price. No boutique luxury here. Of course, when in Normandy, other than perhaps the association with Operation Overlord on D-Day in 1944, one might think of Mont-Saint-Michel, monastery and strategic fortress all in one. At about 300 feet high, it is an oddity in an otherwise flat landscape. So on Friday, we travel northwest to the famous mount on our way to Avranches to visit our former exchange student and her family. After supporting the local economy by paying 50 cents to use the toilet in the fortress and climbing the steep path as far as we can go before having to pay to see the abbey, and we have seen plenty of abbeys before, thank you very much, we descend Mont-Saint-Michel and drive to Avranches. On our last day in Normandy, we head back into the Pays de Loire to visit a somewhat unusual museum. Yeah, I know, you hear the word museum and it's news time. Not this though. This is different. Allow me to introduce to you, and all you art lovers might already know about him, Robert Tatin. After traveling extensively throughout his life, including South America, He came back to the region of his youth, near Laval, in his 60s. He bought a rickety farmhouse, a fixer, and built himself not just a home, but his very own museum. Genius, if you ask me. Do you have to be a narcissist to be an artist? Discuss. Aside from his, in my opinion, gorgeous paintings, he also built larger-than-life statues depicting his heroes such as Picasso, Toulouse-Lautrec, and others. All made out of concrete. Concrete! Astonishing and a bit surreal. One statue, the dragon, stands about 10 feet tall outside his walled garden of meditation to ward off all who wish harm to the tranquil place. Vicious teeth, claws, horns, and lapping tongue. I think I've just woken up in one of my son's video games. Alas, once again it is time to say goodbye to France. I do like it here. The people are friendly, the cheese is stinky and cheap, the bread is fresh, and don't you dare suggest otherwise. The roads are nice, property taxes are low, and the wine is plentiful and affordable. Back in Paris, we had to Gare du Nord, the North train station, and the Eurostar. The French, being French, like to protest and strike and let you know how they feel about things. So we encounter some industrial action taken by the border guards to simulate a no-deal Brexit scenario. Or so we thought. Then it turns out that one of the X-ray machines is broken. Either way, the lines to get to the Eurostar train are a mile long. Once we get close to the border control, we are met by screens telling us that from this point forward, the wait can be up to 3 hours. We have already been in line for 40 minutes. Lots of people moan and groan, some are upset. I figure if we had to get to the airport and wait for a plane, it wouldn't be that much less time. Having lived on an island and being dependent on ferry service for the last 3 decades, waiting for hours for transportation is nothing new. We have long mastered the Zen of ferry and apply this meditation skill here. The queue does move more quickly than expected, and they get us on a replacement train in no time. And whoosh, we are being taken back to London at the speed of light. Actually, no, it's not the speed of light, it's the speed of train. But at 186 miles per hour, it is still pretty quick. I may not have gotten my hearty French meal this time around. We are, however, planning a trip to Paris, and I am certain that Paris will deliver when it comes to bistro meals. Thanks for watching. Till next time.